Hey guys, my name is Joel Miller, and I'm going to be on D-Metal Galaxy talking about my new book, Memoir of a Roadie. It's about finding your inner light and spreading it to the world to make a better place for all of us. It's actually not. It's about partying with Guns N' Roses, Stone Temple Pilots, Godsmack, Disturbed, and nothing would be complete without maybe one or two cameo appearances by Ozzy Osbourne. It is the #1 biography on Amazon right now, and I'm looking forward to doing this interview. I hope to see you guys there. Thanks. These D-Metal Galaxy guys are kinds of dicks. Anyway, hopefully we'll have a fun time. It's gonna be rough for me, maybe. Right now, my book is actually number 2 on Amazon because every hour they change it. But I guess in Ireland, you guys care about us telling a little bit of not the truth. So maybe I'll do another video when it's back at #1 in 1 hour.
A bit different this week, as this week we are going to talk about Memoir of a Road, and I'm just passing him the microphone to Joe so he can tell something about himself.
Okay, well, my book's called Memoir of a Roadie, and I began writing it maybe 4 years ago, actually. And I had made a film. I made a film called The Still Life years ago, and I distributed it through Warner Brothers, and I filled it with a bunch of rock stars. So some guys in your world, like Jonathan Davis from Korn was in it, Josh from Buck Cherry. I don't know if he's heavy enough, but he's cool. And a lot of people had seen the film. So one of the people who saw it, his name was Michael Grace, and Michael wrote the movie Poltergeist, and he wrote the movie Cool World and Marked for Death. And anyway, him and I became pretty friendly, and he had always said, you really need to write, your story. And for whatever reason, I was just opposed to it. But I just didn't really do it. I had kept really extensive journals while I toured. I had bought a laptop computer, which was pretty new at the time, and getting online was really new. So I would get in AOL chat rooms, and I would talk to people. But I found, like, what else am I going to do with this computer that I'd spent all the money on? I could watch a movie, which I did, but I started writing. And so I started writing about the tours that I was on and just my experiences every day. And what I found a few years ago was that as I started writing it, I really enjoyed it. It's I'm a little older than you guys, I think, but so I'm 43. But writing about yourself or reading about yourself when you're 20 years old, it's very exciting because there's tons of stuff I don't remember. There's stuff you do remember. You're totally pissed off about it in all the writings, but now you're kind of like, I don't even remember what this relates to. You're a different person. So it was cool. I enjoyed it. And so I started working on it when I had time. Last year I got melanoma. I had cancer. I'm okay. But I was thinking, man, if I die, my nephews are going to think I'm some jackass. So now if I die, they'll know I'm some jackass. But I'll be a jackass who wrote this book. And when I released the book, like Michael had said, people liked it. So we hit #1 on Amazon, which was just out of the blue. Yeah. And so I was editing it as quickly as I could because I had released it before being totally done. So I'm editing. And in the meantime, I'm getting it's really great, but I'm getting these big journalists now writing to me, asking for me to send the book to them. And you're kind of like, I don't know if you're going to like it, man, but I'll send it. And so that's been the ride. And it's been a fun one. It's been really good. So there's a long-winded explanation.
Actually, a very cool idea that you had to take notes of everything what was happening.
Yeah, I think at the time I didn't really think about it, especially in relation to reiterating it later down the line. Mm-hmm. I was just trying to use this new toy. Mm-hmm. I remember they had in an AOL chat room, there was a Stone Temple Pilots chat. And I'm literally on the bus. And I started writing hey, what do you guys want to know? And people they didn't believe me. So I was like, oh, all right, I tried. That was kind of fun. But and now look at us, we're all addicted to the computer still. So
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So with the book, you put your screenwriting skills into action, basically.
that's actually interesting. That's cool. You're right. So here's how it works. So I've written songs. I wrote a song for a guy named Darius Rucker, and or I co-wrote it, I should say. And I've written with Dizzy from Guns N' Roses, and I've written some other people. So you write a poem, and they turn it into a song. It's super cool. It really is. It's really neat because they're very talented. And so when they take your crummy poem and they make it a song, it sounds just larger than life. It's very exciting. Now you jump up to, let's say, a screenplay. So with a screenplay, a really good screenplay should take you a while. When people say, oh, I wrote, for example, I wrote my book in a weekend. I'll bet the book's awful. It's too much work. You can't. So if you write a screenplay, you spend a formidable amount of time. The thing that's interesting in writing a screenplay is you can edit it. And now I know that editing a screenplay is not too scary because editing a book is just gnarly. So when speaking to Michael, who's a very well-established screenwriter, I'm like, to write a crappy screenplay is kind of hard, but to write a crappy book is really hard, man. And he was like, oh, that's why I've never done it. That's why I'm like, I get it. I mean, this is rough. So, and then I did another interview and he called it, you wrote the tome of the roadie because it's just so big. I was kind of like, that's hilarious. That's a pretty good way of putting it, actually. So yeah, it's just different levels of work, and they were totally unexpected each time. So it's a different level of fulfillment. I think doing a book now, I'll have a deep respect for anybody who's written a book about anything. Now I know how much work it really is. And I'm doing the audio book right now, which is way, way harder than I thought. I thought it'd be a ton of fun, and it's a lot of work too.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, so basically people will be hearing you as well, and hopefully it will be #1 as well.
Oh, the joy. And my girlfriend, we had this one scene and it's like, I'm reading it and it's almost, jiggle those titties. But the thing is you cap out. So I'm sitting there trying to get it where it doesn't go into the red section, and she's waking up and I just see this look around the corner, and I'm sort of like, it's just not the best time to walk in. It's not, the whole book's not that thing. So now the girls I see, every time I see any of these girls I know, they're like, jiggle those titties. I'm like, ha ha ha, yeah, Aaron told you. Okay, all right. So a bit of fun.
Yeah. Cool. Joel, so can you tell me which stage was most difficult to set up? Because you said that you're setting up stages.
That's cool. You guys are asking different questions. This is cool. Most of these interviews, they ask me the same stuff. I like this. So
It's gonna be very random. Sorry.
Yes.
No, honestly, it's nice. I've been doing a lot of these, and they ask you the same questions. So if you get out of it, I can answer some of those questions that they ask me every single time. But that's a cool one. I like it. And the reason why is a lot of the places you play. So we have what are called sheds, okay? And sheds will have a certain amount of people, and they all look the same. So the stages are similar, which means your points in the sky and where you hang everything is all set to be the same. So when you say what's most difficult, I never did a chore like that. But if you were like performing in a church in Italy or something, that'd be tough, man. But they have set points. And so if you're a competent rigger, which I'm definitely not, but if you're a competent rigger, you can see where the points are in the sky, and then you pull off of that to get where you want, sort of. Every now and then it's not perfect, but it's close enough. So I would imagine a difficult stage would actually be like a small club, a really small venue.
Okay.
So we did one in the book. I talk about it. It was with the Red Hot Chili Peppers, and it was with Stone Temple Pilots, and it was on a really small stage on Sunset Boulevard in Hollywood. And that was hard because they wanted to put as much gear as they could on the stage. And I mean, where's the rock star supposed to stand? And it was interesting because I was waiting for Scott to come out. Because he performed a lot. I don't know if you guys ever saw STP or Velvet Revolver, but Scott moves a lot. He cruised. And where's he going to go? And how's he going to handle this situation? And what was really remarkable was handled it like a boss. Didn't even affect him. He just didn't move around as much because he didn't have as much area. And what was neat to see is you can see these guys they started in small venues. So
yeah, of course, they have to start from something small to go big.
Yeah, no big deal here, man. Got it covered. And so neither band really, it didn't really affect them. They all, and then you have an intimacy level, which makes the show just, I mean, amazing.
Yeah.
Bad and loud. I mean, really, really, really loud.
And the capacity of the venue, you remember?
That one, couple hundred people.
Oh, okay.
Really small. Yeah, it was like a special show that they did. For a radio thing. I can't remember what it was for, but very, very small. It was like a secret show.
Which year was that? You remember?
Which venue?
Year.
I think it was at the Whiskey. It was at the Whiskey Go-Go, it's called. It's on Sunset Boulevard.
No, which year?
Oh, 2000.
Okay. Wow, 20 years.
Oh, that's where the whole book is. It's all a long time ago.
What a time difference. So.
Yeah.
I would imagine, though, that things are very similar. I think stages are all the same. There isn't too much to change. The lighting equipment's like drastically different, I would think, but it's similar. So, and speaking about that 20 years ago, it was actually a really cool era, depending on what kind of music you like, but there was a really cool era of music. So a lot of the bands that I had the opportunity to work with or for were, they were really great. They were really cool. So,
but how you get this opportunity to be a roadie?
So for me, it was a little different. So for me, what happened? My father was an English car mechanic. I was born in England, and so I had this guy came over, and he needed to get his car fixed. He had a Jaguar. My dad specialized in Jaguar cars, and he's kind of said to me, "Hey, if you want to work for, if you want to go on the road with STP, we could use a guy." Which I was basically the grunt, and I was like, yeah, whatever. I really didn't even pay attention, but he was serious. And within, I think it was like 3 days, I was on an airplane heading to Las Vegas to go work for STP, and I had only been to one show ever in my life. That was a bigger show. It was for Steve Miller Band, and I was on mushrooms. I didn't.
Steve Miller, nice.
So that was the only concert I'd ever been to. So they just dropped me into it, and then, but I worked hard, and I liked it immediately. I knew who STP was. I had remember, I don't know if you guys were in it, but they had you get 12 CDs for one penny.
Okay.
Yeah, it was this thing they did, back then, and you could get. I think it started with records, and you get 10 of them, you pay a penny, and then they charge you, but they have you on the hook, and you buy more stuff from them. And so I had bought STP Core. I didn't listen to it that much. I was super excited about going out with the Chili Peppers, and then because they came on to the tour a little bit later, and what I found was that STP was just so much more grandiose. They were so much better than I would have ever imagined. And as I saw more acts and I learned more about touring, I realized it wasn't just me being green. They were that good. They were really amazing band.
And were you ever, thought that you want to be on the other side, like where the musicians are on the stage performing?
I talk about it briefly because I saw as long as you move around a lot, you'll be all right. So I thought, I'm like, maybe I'll be a singer. Maybe that'd be cool. But the truth is, no. I mean, I'm so bad. I'm a terrible actor too. I'm a terrible actor. I'm definitely not a singer, and I don't know how to play anything.
But you were, I read you were learning to play guitar. Did that anything led to anything?
No, it never did. I mean, I was learning, and my fingers were starting to get a little hard, and I was trying to play Neil Young and Nirvana, just the stuff that's kind of easy as you begin to learn. But as I talked about in the book, I kind of got crap from my boss where he was like, if you're not working, basically hide. But don't just sit here playing the rock star's guitar. Go do something. So that became the end of me trying to noodle around and learn how to play guitar. I always tell myself maybe one day, but I doubt. As I get older, I doubt it. Do you guys play?
Yeah, I have a guitar who is just sitting in the corner and waiting for one day maybe I'll play it.
Same thing. But maybe one day, I don't know. I played clarinet in junior high school. I was terrible, but this girl I was keen on, she kept getting better and better. I'm sitting there I'm trying to like stay so I can sit next to her, because you sit next to one another based on your talent. And she was really good at this, man. And I'm sitting there like not getting any better, and she kept moving farther away. So I said, screw these wind instruments.
I have a bass also sitting there. Yeah.
They're cool to have around anyway. I love instruments, so they're neat to have. But yeah, I don't know how to play.
It's okay.
Let's go to the band you toured. What I found interesting is that you met Keanu Reeves, who rose to fame with Matrix and Speed, and now with Cyberpunk. So I was quite surprised to hear he was a musician as well. So how was it to meet him, and what was the music about back then?
So he has a band. I don't know if he still has it, but his band was called, and if it's not still, I'm unaware, but it's called Dog Star. And Keanu played bass, and he was just the nicest fella, which at that time nobody really knew, or it wasn't publicized as much. Now everybody knows Keanu's like the nicest guy in the world. And I think it's really well deserved. It's kind of cool because he was a really good guy. You know, he came in, he was very down to earth. Mm-hmm. And at the time, this is in either 1998 or 1999, The Matrix was really recent. This guy was the most famous guy in the world. And he was just chill. So he came into the studio, and I remember he watched hockey, very, very into hockey. So he'd sit there watching hockey, and he just hung out, and we had a good time. I did like him. I liked him. The Dog Star is very pop. I would say it's pop music. Oh, okay. Yeah, but I was out with, I think it was with Godsmack with those guys, and I saw the guys from Dog Star randomly in an airport. Like, how do you know Dog Star? It's Keanu Reeves' band, man. They're awesome. So it'd be fun. It's funny how you run into random people in airports. But when you're all flying around so much, you learn the bartender's name in Denver, Colorado or whatever, because you're used to going through there. It's actually Texas. You fly through Texas a lot. So
from the nicest guy, let's go to the not really so nice guy. So I read about that you nearly got fired by Axl Rose. And so is he hard to deal with, and how was actually working with him?
Okay, so with Axl. So when I first began to work for Axl, I was told he was very difficult to work with. And there's a few people in the industry that are difficult. Prince was one of them. Prince was very hard to work for, apparently. Okay. I never worked for Madonna. I've been told Madonna is very, very hard to work for, and on and on and on. Mm-hmm. So when I tell my story where he fired me, the truth is I think he fires a lot of people. But I'm a big Guns N' Roses fan. So I always have been, and I'm the CD generation. So the first CD I ever purchased was Appetite for Destruction. Oh. I held it dear, and I wait now in heavy anticipation of their next album. I love Guns N' Roses. So when you're a big fan, you're excited to maybe get to know anyone a little bit better. I don't know Axl. I'm not Axl's friend. I don't have his cell phone number. We've never had a beer together. But I did spend a bit of time with them in the the rehearsal studio. Mm-hmm. And in doing so, he was just so much larger than life than I would have even imagined. He was, you having seen Dio, I see the poster in the background maybe. You know, I mean, he was really talented, like for real. And the way he spoke was just so matter of fact. He wasn't full of himself. He wasn't a dick. And when he fired me, so I answered the phone in the rehearsal studio. Well, my hearing's terrible. And I couldn't hear who was on the phone. I have no idea why I picked up the phone. Well, it was unfortunately him. And he was trying to get this other guy on the phone. And I'm sitting there like a 3-year-old. What? Hello? Hello? So he's like, oh, fire that guy. So the next day, my boss was like, just don't come in. Stay at home for the day. And then he won't even remember who you are. And sure enough, he didn't remember who I was. But I have the way I've written my book, I wasn't trying to ever create something that would stir up drama. Mm-hmm. I'm a fan. I'm a music fan. And the book is written hopefully in a way that will get you to laugh. That was my main goal, was to get you to chuckle a little bit. And like music, because we're all into this for the same thing, the musicians included. I mean, we like tunes, we like music. So that's what I was hoping to achieve. And with Axel, I hope I was successful at it, you know, because with a lot of these books, that's what they're looking for. They're looking for these sordid stories of whatever. There was a forum and they start talking about the kind of tea Axel likes to drink. And I'm like, you know, who cares? You're going to send it to him for Christmas? And so some of the conversations, they go into these very bizarre things. So.
Well, some fans are like really, really into it.
Yeah, they're really, really into it. And then sometimes you think about yourself, am I that lame? You know, because I know the first song they did and what city or something. I'm like, am I becoming this wacko? But I don't know. I think as long as you're harmless and you're having fun, it's all good. You know, get into it. It's fun. I don't know. I love Guns N' Roses. I always will.
Cool. And what about Ozzy?
So with Ozzy, I never worked for Ozzy, but I did a lot of shows with them. So on Ozfest, STP was on Ozfest, and it was, I think it was us, STP, and then it went to Godsmack after us. I can't remember, but it was Ozzy, and then it was Black Sabbath, which was just...
and Creed, I think.
That was where I was going to go with this. So whoever the hell thought Creed would be the best headliner over Black Sabbath, what in the world were you? So the venue would just empty and nobody was up there to watch Scott perform because you came to see Black Sabbath. And it was very funny because the place would just empty out. And it was just, there was another one I put in there, and it was a show with Rage Against the Machine. I love Rage Against the Machine too. And they had the Blue Man Group, which is this like art ensemble. And they opened up for, it was the Blue Man Group, then it was Godsmack, then STP, and then Rage Against the Machine, I think. And I mean, I felt these guys just got pummeled with crap from the audience. And again, who's the promoter that was like, I have an idea? So yeah, Creed, I don't know how good of that one was for him, but Ozzy, he was neat, man. You know, he was cool. He would sit on the side of the stage. He always watched STP play. He never missed them. And it wasn't like one song. He would watch their whole set, which was really neat with them because a lot of guys did. So like Metallica, I talk about Metallica in the book. And I did this another interview. They didn't pick up on it. But you know where you have that feel behind you where someone's big, right? And so I turned around, you know, and there was Lars Ulrich. And he's like, am I on your way, brother? But it wasn't. I was waiting for them to correct me because Lars is tiny. He's this little guy. And they didn't catch on. But it was James Hetfield, I'm a little guy. I'm like 5'8". He's a lot bigger than me. So I kind of turned around and I see and I look. I'm like, oh my God, you know, that's James Hetfield. And I look to my left, you know, and the rest of the Metallica guys are all hanging out. And I'm kind of like, oh, this is kind of cool. You know, this is kind of neat. And and Hetfield's like, oh, you know, am I in your way? No, you're okay. You know, maybe the big security guy to your left's in my way. That guy's a house. So those kind of experiences were incredibly rewarding because they make you feel so special about where you're at that moment and that day. You know, you're having a really rewarding experience. And I like that. And I think that's a lot of why I wanted to write notes in the beginning of all this, because I felt I was just going through this amazing growing up period.
Oh, cool.
I met Dio.
You did? I've never been at the gig.
Yeah, he was rehearsing in the studio next to us. I think on Poison. But,
there was very small, was he?
He's a little guy. Yeah, he was a little guy. Yeah, he was a little fella.
Wow.
But I didn't really talk to him much, but like, you know, Dio's in the next room. I'm like, whoa. What's he rehearsing? You kind of, because the rehearsal studios are built. I mean, you can hear noise, you hear bass, you know. So you're kind of sitting there, kind of like,
with song.
Any differences from being on the side and being in the crowd?
Yeah, a huge difference. So everybody wants to go backstage, and it's to experience what they're seeing. The show's meant to be seen from the front of the stage. That's the whole point of everything.